Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be. My name is Brian. I'm here with Allison, and welcome back to Honey Badger Radio. This is maintaining frame number
Everlasting.
168. Where have all the good men gone to bed?
Okay, I made the title. It's my fault. But I think the original title is Where Have the Men Gone? And We're Here. So we're going to cover that article. But I figured I'd just give it a little wry twist because that seemed a bit dry.
A little dry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. It's essentially the New York Times published men's response to this original article, which, good golly, I have forgotten the name of the title of this original. Yeah, Where Have the Men Gone? Oh no, this is the New York Times response to the original article, whose title is escaping me. I know that
I don't have that one. I don't know if we're supposed to be looking at that one.
We are. This response video that I created is that one.
The one, one sitting here. You mean the trouble with wanting men?
Yeah, the trouble with wanting men. Fatalism. Okay. She published this. The New York Times, I believe, published this, and then it published men's response to this.
So right? The New York Times published the back and forth. They published the trouble with wanting men.
Yes.
And then this one. And then where have the men gone? We're right.
Where have the men gone? Right. So we're both on the same page. So I figured after we finish the trouble of wanting men, we could maybe, if we have time, look at men's response to this, which I don't know if it really needs a response aside from please stay away from me, but we'll see what the New York Times published in terms of men's response. Like, but that's just my opinion as a woman. Like, if I had to date the chicas in this, no, I wouldn't. I would be like, no, I wouldn't want you as part of my life. Well, they seem to have a very, they don't seem to understand that their partners should be able to consent themselves. That makes sense. Like, essentially what we've been listening to, just to give you guys a recap, is 3 or 4 women laughing over the fact that a man either had an anxiety disorder,
has anxiety,
or anxious, or basically did the soft no, it's not you, it's me kind of thing to get rid of her. They're all laughing over that because he didn't have sex with her. So this is what they're laughing at. They're laughing at a man who said no sex with them for whatever reason. They're publicly mocking and shaming a man for not consenting to have sex with them. And wrap your minds around that. And the New York Times saw fit to publish such a thing. And the only conclusion you can come from that is come to from that data point is that men should not have the right to say no to women sexually. They should be publicly shamed and ridiculed if they say no to women sexually. That's quite the message. I can't imagine the New York Times ever publishing a message in which 4 men ridiculed a woman or women for failing to come out and having sex with them, and then presented the men as being in the right somehow. Like, oh my God. So as I said, I think if the correct response to such entitlement, dare I say rapey entitlement, would be to try to remove these women from your life as quickly as possible, perhaps by telling them, oh, I'm too anxious to come out to meet you, which is guaranteed. Like, that is the off switch for women's sexual desire, right? Anxiety, vulnerability. Maybe you cry about, oh, I just watched a remake of Where the Red Fern Grows. Yeah, instantaneously, the pussy poofs out some dust and she disappears. So these men basically said to these 4 women, they gave them the instantaneous wet shower response to get rid of them. I mean, that's the possibility. That's one possibility. And that's probably what they should have done. But of course, because these men said no to these women, it is a crisis for women.
Yep.
Men say no to women sexually. Women most affected. We have to stop that, Brian. There needs to be a movement. There needs to be a female rapist march. Walk. How dare he say no to me sexually? Men shouldn't be allowed to do that. There should be a law. God damn. Anyway, sorry, I'm under attack by Voidcat. Shall we get into it, or I should do
Yeah.
the thing?
So yeah, you should do the things. I don't know if we're done with the monthly fundraiser or whatever,
sort of.
but
Like, what happened is somebody supported through the monthly fundraiser, but their bank did like a little dance and said no, and then that was posted to the fundraiser because the fundraising platform that I use is sort of borked that way. It even posts failed pledges. I probably shouldn't have said that publicly. Now the next fundraiser we have will be like a whole bunch of feminists will put in failed pledges. Actually, they probably don't even notice this anymore. But anyway, that's what happens. So it registered as being done, but it isn't done. But that particular supporter is going to come back and support. So it's done. Long story short. Sorry, I just did this email thing of giving way too much information. It's done. But if you want to send us a message at any time, you have any commentary on my squirrely thoughts or Brian's very concise and intelligible thoughts, then please send them to feedthebadger.com/justthetip. That's feedthebadger.com/justthetip. Very best way for you to send us funds and the best way for you to get your comment to us. Although sometimes I do have to poke the voles. So if you aren't seeing us respond to your comment, just give us a message in one of the chats and I'll poke the voles and the comment should pop out force width. So that's feedthebadger.com/justthetip. All right. Shall we start? Shall we resume, actually?
Playing this, last week. I'm trying to remember where it left off. This is a long article, but I believe
sure it was like
this is where it was,
left.
because when I brought the video up, this is where YouTube started from. And usually it remembers, where you left off, like give or take a few seconds. So
Oh, I want to just mention something in one of the chats. Botch TV says, wait, so women are getting rejected sexually and women are mad about it? I thought they wanted us to leave them alone if they weren't interested. I'm confused. Yes, you're supposed to leave women alone if they're not interested. But if they are interested, according to this New York Times article, there should be a law against you leaving them alone, right?
you should know when they're interested and then approach.
Yeah, know when they're interested and then approach. And if you're not interested, that's not allowed.
Yeah.
No.
That's how it works. It's very simple. I don't see how you don't understand this.
You need to be able to understand, read their minds, know if they're interested. And if they're interested, you have no say in the matter except to approach. And you can't say no. That's it. That's equality. Okay.
Yeah. Bare minimum.
Bare minimum, guys. Bare minimum. Oh man, I'm flashing this Twitter exchange. Oh no, I won't go there.
Do you not hear this? Oh, it's not.
It's not playing? No, it's not.
Oh, I have to hold on. I got to do this over again for some reason. Give me a second. All right, let's try it now. See if you hear it.
Just one toy when you can take turns with all the toys, while at the same time vaguely subverting something. Capitalism.
Maybe go back to the beginning of this wittering. Like go back to where she started, whatever it is that she's justifying. Okay, I gotta go back to that, start playing it. I gotta deal with Voidcat.
The thing is, I don't know exactly where we left off. I'll just go back to here.
In non-monogamy were not really, he noted with a laugh, quoting the rapper Pusha T, "bout dat life." He was, I meet this type around sometimes, fluent in the language of polyamory, waving his respectful desire around like a plastic lightsaber, pew pew. Why would you play with just one toy when you can take turns with all the toys, while at the same time vaguely subverting something. Capitalism.
I'm trying to see if I can find this in the article.
Sorry about that. I should probably have been very careful about where we left off. Okay, so here we go. See this, guys? This is my mug, and this is the decoy mug. Because Voidcat, she has her own water. She has multiple little water fountains she can drink from. She wants my mug. I don't know why. But I have to put this strategically so she'll go and drink from that instead of my mug. All right. Let's do this.
All right. So I found where we left off. So she is basically telling a story of another encounter she had with a guy that's in a polyamorous thing or has a partner or something. And I'll
Was
just
he the
read
bratty
this bit.
sub dude?
I'll just read this bit, okay? The stranger waiting at my usual back corner table looked a bit squarer than my average date. His hair appeared recently washed and cut, and he wore a button-down shirt, but some restless mischief played in his face, bearing itself fully in his laugh. Our
What
conversation
the
was
hell
brisk
does
and
he
jesting.
usually date? Like he looked freshly quit. He didn't look like he was disheveled and just rolled off a bench on Central Park. Like, what's her usual date? Who knows?
Well,
Okay,
more
sorry.
square. So
More
squarer, I
square.
think she means more like kind of like, uptight or not cool, I guess. So yeah, maybe she's like dated like more rock star types.
Yeah, but
Um,
apparently they don't bathe very often or something.
well, maybe not, yeah. Maybe I don't
Okay.
know. Our conversation was brisk and jesting. I got the impression he was enjoying my company, but that this was more bonus than criterion for him. He was partnered already.
What does that mean?
Um, enjoying my company, but that was more bonus than criterion. So it wasn't it wasn't critical that she be like a really good date that he would enjoy the company of, but more of a bonus. So I guess he was
Okay.
just looking for a lay, according to her.
Okay.
Um,
Um so she's part of the hookup culture. Oh, isn't this the one that was bemoaning the fact that she couldn't get any man to actually commit to her,
yeah,
even to have
in the
sex?
same article. So
Oh
she's
god,
like polyamorous or
I've read
whatever,
a lot of
but
articles.
also wants commitment, but
She wants
divorcing her
commitment from a man.
husband. This is the hetero fatalist
The
person.
hetero fatalist sounds like a loon.
A what?
A loon, a lunatic, a
Oh yeah,
crazy.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
Um,
like is this hetero-fatalist are just chronically perverse and borderline. Like the thing
yeah,
is, like you want men, and this is something I did notice. And while I was reading, and the reason why these articles get blurred in my mind is I read a lot of them. A lot of them. There's this constant stream that these women want freedom, sexual freedom for themselves, but not for their male partners. For the male partners, they want commitment.
yeah. That's what it sounds like.
And they're willing to, and this is what I think why men were sort of allowed to play the field a little bit. Men don't break apart the entire structure of society in order to arrange things in precisely the way they want. And it's starting to feel like women do this, and this is a problem. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm way out to lunch on that. It's just an impression I'm getting.
Well, let me finish this bit
Sure.
so that we're all caught up. Okay.
Mhm.
He was partnered already. He had told me. So he had told her that he was partnered already and seeking only companionate sex. His dating profile referenced this clearly below a picture of him wearing a blue blazer and petting a donkey's head. Um, okay. We turned eventually to the subject of erotic temperament. He was interested in the possibilities that arise between people when any eventuality of marriage, procreation, or fidelity was, so to speak, taken off the bed. So if you take off, the way that she phrases it is like she's trying to get deep, but it's not that deep. So
You just
he
want
was
to
interested
smash.
in the possibilities that arise between people when any eventuality of marriage, procreation, or fidelity was, so to speak, taken off the bed. What might then happen in that bed, in that community, in that world? Watching his clean-cut, boyish form and listening to him speak with the eloquent enthusiasm of a connoisseur, the phrase that occurred to me was sex nerd. Many dabblers in non-monogamy were not really, he noted with a laugh, quoting the rapper Pusha T, "About That Life." We're not really about that life. He was. I met this type around sometimes. Fluent in the language of polyamory, waving his respectful desire around like a plastic lightsaber. Pew, pew. why would you play with just one toy when you can take turns with all the toys? While at the same time vaguely subverting something, capitalism. So that was basically where we left off on the audio thing.
Okay, so what's wrong with this dude? Isn't she the one that wanted to smash?
She's looking for well, I don't know. I mean, she seems to be torn. Like she doesn't know whether she wants polyamorous open relationships or committed relationships with family. But I think she's kind of like pushing against the latter because she was saying that's where she has this idea of what she calls hetero fatalism, or the people in her circle, whatever, this Manhattan big city urban monoculture club. So do you want to hear more?
Yeah, just continue. Like,
all right.
What were my
Gotta
feelings? Sex nerd wanted to know about groups. I confess to having no interest. What can happen between two people? That thing where a pair of beings lock onto and suspend each other, aching for and into each other. I was about that thing, that life. Sure, he got that. He
okay,
respected.
writer me.
But
How does one ache into someone else? I guess she's trying to be what's the word for it? She's trying to be lit. She's trying to write
aching
prose.
for and into each other. Aching for and into each other and into each other. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you ache into someone? She is trying to write prose that is lit from within. And also have relationships that are lit from within. Okay.
Okay.
he had actually found that the intense, intimate kind of connection I described could occur between, say, 4 people. And when it did, he added with teeth, it was quite an experience. The bitterness does not replace wanting men, a man, the smell of a man's thin t-shirt, the dampness of the hair at his
Where did the
nape.
bitterness come from
I
again?
conceded that.
Huh?
Oh, the bitterness with men. So she's dating men who want to have multiple partners, want to have casual, no strings attached sex. Where does her bitterness come from? I mean, let's review what she's said about her life up to this point. She said she had a husband, right? She was polyamorous with him. He probably made a commitment to her for life, because I know how men are, right? And allowed her to go and play the field. She left her husband for a man who told her he wasn't interested in a commitment, and ended up not being interested in a commitment. And now she's playing the field with these other men who don't want to commit to her, also don't seem to want to have sex with her. And I guess that's where the bitterness comes from. But where was she done wrong? Like, really? She made these choices. She got rid of a man who was willing to commit to her. Once you do that, ladies, it's unlikely you're going to find another one. There's 100% likelihood that you're not going to find another one. The first man this woman married was willing to commit to her for life. She will never find another man who is willing to commit to her for life. That was her choice. She left him for a man who from the beginning said he wasn't interested in a relationship. He was fine with her being his side piece and being her side piece, but that was it. She did not get a relationship from this man. And that was her choice, to pursue a person who said, you're not going to get what you want from me. And now she's bitter because there are guys in her dating circle who will not have sex with her. I'm sorry, but there is, like, they talk about incels and the bitterness of incels and how unjustified it is. Where is this woman's bitterness justified? Can you perhaps locate a spot, Brian?
No, I have no idea. I think she's doing like all of her choices, like you said, her situation is a product of her own choices. You know,
Yes.
there are men out there that you probably don't want to be involved with. But if you choose to get involved with them anyway, then what are we supposed to do? Make it illegal for those men to exist? So like that, so we, you know, you just have to like know how to avoid them and like, you know, stay stay safe. No one's pretending that there aren't men with bad intentions or men that
Well,
in
are these
fact,
men
none of
with
the men
bad
in this
intentions?
none well,
Yeah.
no, none of the men in this story have bad intentions, but I'm saying that those men exist. Even these guys are at least they're like being honest. Like, this is what I
Yeah, they're
expect.
being completely honest.
Yeah.
But that's not bad intentions. That's complete and utter honesty.
Right. I'm not saying they have bad intentions.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't even think we should bring in the idea that men, oh, you'll have to be yourself, safe from men's bad intentions.
mhm.
I think that the men who are badly intentioned are nowhere in this story. Like, in fact, I would argue that the only ones with bad intentions are the women.
Yeah.
Bad,
Uh,
contradictory, manipulative, selfish, self centered, caustic, monstrous, damaging, abusive, all of them. Starting with mocking men who just said no to them for sex.
yeah.
Okay.
All right, I want to play some more.
That it was a fascinating prospect, but one I could not mentalize, or at least not in any way that moved me. Totally, he said. That was totally valid. He was generally eager to assure me that my desires were valid, both in person and later, when he wrote to me on more than one occasion to clarify that, if you feel our energies aren't matched, I won't argue, and if friendship only is preferred, I will understand.
Okay,
And
stop for a
truly,
second.
no pressure.
Okay. She can't mentalize this guy just wanting to smash. That means she can't understand his intent. He's telling you his intent right here. How could you not understand it? This man is telling you what he intends and what he wants. And she's like, I just can't understand it. No, it's just not consistent with what you want. And you're a gaslighter. Like,
Yep.
all right.
All right.
Good guy. Protesting a bit much on the consensuality front, but basically a stand-up guy. Evolved, transparent, an enlightened creature of our new romantic age. If only I could desire a man like that. A man bringing such clear terms to the table. Enough to be disappointed by him. Isn't that what desire is? A sight of potential disappointment? But I couldn't. Which was another disappointment.
What? She couldn't desire this man? Was he the one
No.
that was like, oh, I can't have sex with you. You make me anxious?
Nope. This is like another guy, I think. He was like the sex nerd. He wanted like something casual, but he was also
Casual?
so like he was so open in terms of like he was like, look, if you don't think this is our energies are matching, I won't argue. If friendship is only preferred, I'll understand. No pressure. So he's basically saying, look, if you don't feel it, then it's okay. And I guess that bothers
Mhm.
her. She doesn't find him desirable because of that. He's a little too, I don't know,
Clear?
like straightforward. I don't know. So yeah.
Two
No
bodies
idea.
were pressed together outside an entrance to the subway on my way home, the man's hand wrapped tightly around the back of the woman's head, and as I passed them a noise escaped me, a choking sound, a performance of disgust for the benefit of some bitter omniscience. The bitterness
What
does
are
not
you
replace wanting men.
Okay,
Yeah,
so she
she
sees
made the choking, like a gagging sound when she saw these two other people, I guess, together on the subway or the entrance to the subway.
well, you know what that
Um,
means, right? If
yeah, that
you're
she finds
together
it
in that
gross that
context,
they're being so like, what is it called? Public displays of affection.
was it that severe? Was it just like two people like holding, like hugging?
The man's hand wrapped tightly around the back of the woman's head, and as I passed them, a noise escaped me, a choking sound, a performance
Were
of
they
disgust for the
hugging?
benefit of some bitter omniscience. She was disgusted at them being together. There was no suggestion of anything bad happening.
Okay, so it was just a couple display, like,
PDA.
maybe PDA, like maybe he was just, helping
Well,
her
there's more to the
stand.
paragraph. You know
Okay.
how this person writes, so I'll play the rest
Oh,
of it.
good Lord, you're right.
The smell of a man's thin t-shirt, the dampness of the hair at his nape after he exerts himself. The bitterness grows from the want and is mixed up with it. There must be something wrong, I keep thinking, with the way I desire.
So that's
Yes.
so yeah, she's grossed out by him.
Well, but okay, she's grossed
by
out
that
by
by
this
that
man.
display, by that couple.
You mean like basically just a casual intimacy during your day to
Well,
day?
remember the article is about her disgust with relationships, heterosexual relationships with men.
Yeah, she's not going to have
And there
one
was
then.
a heterosexual relationship that she saw third party, and it made her gag. So that's
Okay,
what
but
she's saying. She's saying she's got
yeah,
a disgust response to a man and a woman being together, and they're
I
being
mean,
like openly affectionate with each other.
but is it a disgust response because she hates that or hates the fact that another woman got it?
Well, this is a different man. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna get, like, will she tell us the truth, or will she continue to write, you know, fucking slam poetry about it?
I just don't understand. Like the thing is that the main takeaway that I've gotten from these individuals so far is that men said no to them and did not want to have sex with them. I mean, there was an excuse of, oh, I have anxiety. I don't want to. But this dude does want to have sex with her. But of course, he's very clear that he's no interest in any of the romantic stuff or relationship stuff. So that's off the table. Maybe she doesn't understand that the men who are willing to have sex with her are not the same men who are willing to have a relationship with her. You know, maybe these other dudes are anxious because, you know, they're
You know that
hoping for a relationship.
this couple is a completely different. This is not the dude. This is a different dude.
No, I know, but this is a
Okay.
completely
All
not.
right.
This woman is walking on the subway and saw there's a couple engaging in some form of intimacy. Who knows? Maybe
Yeah.
the male partner is just helping her stand on the subway because it's moving around too much. And we don't know. She's not very specific. She's very like she likes to give very visceral details, but nothing specific, which is bizarre. And the only thing we know is that she's disgusted by a display of an intimate relationship between a man and a woman and the woman is not her. Right? That's what I'm
Yeah.
getting. Okay. That's my point, is that I think the disgust is jealousy.
Sure. Yeah. I'm fairly certain that's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
A good man is hard to want, a good man wrote in the group chat. A hard man is good to find, said another who knows I haven't had satisfying sex in a minute. A man is hard to find good, said the previous man's girlfriend. A good find is hard to man, I said, as if a guy were a tricky piece of equipment. Slow down. I need to get a better sense of how you work. You're flattening the men, a former lover wrote to me after I sent him a partial draft of this essay. They never get to be real. They're used to confirm a story about disappointment and frustration. This man and I met last fall when he was, like me, reeling from romantic rejection, and within a half hour we lunged at each other, as though
Okay,
by
so this is
tacit
after
we
her
meant him
divorce,
to
I
be.
believe. So she divorced her husband, man
After
who
the
was willing to.
breakup with the guy
Yeah,
who,
but after the divorce. So she
this
divorced
is
her
also
husband.
after divorce. Yeah.
She divorced her husband who was willing to make a commitment to her for life, for a man who said that he wasn't interested in making a commitment. That man didn't make the commitment, and now she's reeling from romantic rejection. And
Mm-hmm.
then she finds another dude who's also reeling from romantic rejection. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Each other's comforting orgasm-giving blankies for a time. We traded obsessive accounts of the failed relationships, cheered each other through the rigors of no contact, watched Albert Brooks movies, belted Weezer songs to karaoke tracks on his couch. Whatever was happening between us went on for about 6 weeks, at which point I became annoyed that he was withholding something from me, though I couldn't say what exactly, and he became anxious about annoying me, and I accused him of coldness, and he accused me of being unfair, and so on. The familiar female demand male withdraw pattern descended over
Wait,
us like a
he was your
polarizing
friend,
spell,
right?
making me
What does he owe you? Like she's like, well, you're withholding something. Yeah, this man doesn't owe you anything,
But she
right?
wants a relationship.
Yeah.
That's all
So
it is. She wants this to go into become something more, and he probably doesn't think it's a good idea, or he's taking his time and she's not comfortable with it. She wants a relationship. That's what
Yeah,
I'm
that's what
getting
I'm.
from that.
But
But
she
she
destroyed
doesn't
her chances.
know what a healthy one looks like, perhaps.
Yeah, well, she just destroyed her chances with the one dude who was willing to commit
Yeah.
to her. Okay, let's keep going.
More goading and accusatory, him more defended and reserved. Unlike other, similar exchanges in my past, this one had an oddly mechanical quality, as though rather than venting real passions, we were locked into some tiresome, bewitched choreography. In Beyond Doer and Done To, the feminist psychoanalyst Jessica Benjamin describes the impasse two people can reach, where each feels unable to gain the other's recognition, and each feels in the other's power. In this state, which she calls complementary twinness, both people feel helpless, both feel done to, both feel the other is leaving us no option except to be either reactive or impotent.
So I'll just read this because she mispronounced a few things. In Beyond Doer and Done To, so this is like a book,
Just
the
a sec.
feminist psychoanalyst, Jessica Benjamin, describes the impasse two people can reach where each feels unable to gain the other's recognition and each feels in the other's power. In this state, which she calls complementary two-ness, both people feel helpless, both feel done to, so I guess used in some way. Both feel the other is leaving us no option except to be either reactive or impotent. So I'm just rereading what she said.
Mm. Well,
I mean, it just sounds
yeah.
like you should know what you want and figure that out instead of like going with what you feel in the moment. Maybe this was a
Well, I think
mistake.
the guys that are capable of a relationship don't want her.
Yeah.
That's as simple
Yeah,
as
she
that.
seems like
And
there's
she's
a lot of baggage.
wearing, no, it's not just a lot. It's a lot of obvious like callousness and cruelty. Like she left a relationship with a man who was willing to commit to her for life. Okay, that you get
Mhm.
one, lady, and you lost it. Now you get whatever these guys are willing to give you. And apparently many of them don't want to give you sex unless they're sex nerds and regard you as like an experimental unit of some kind. You know? Like sorry. This is the life you created for yourself. Next.
All right.
Who knows how long the dance of complementary twiness would have lasted with my fellow Weezer singer had one or both of us felt ourselves to be in love. As it was, after a couple of weeks we were able to break the enchantment, and we remain friends. Eventually, I admitted to him that it had felt more natural to me to default to wounded female, rather than assume responsibility for my desires.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
He, for his part, described a large looming X whose adept use of guilt had left its mark. It was one of those moments of becoming aware, suddenly and fleetingly, of how we play ourselves and cast others to play opposite us
You know what?
in the productions of our internal dramas known as days.
I I wish that she'd become fully self-aware, but I wonder if she did how much she would hate herself.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I just wanted to say that.
It's painful to face your ego, but you have to. Um
Yeah.
so I want to read this again because there's something interesting happening here. So because remember, she's writing this from her perspective, and she's people who write about their experiences usually have like something unconscious going on with how they sort of frame themselves, especially if they haven't, done the sort of, know thyself work,
Mhm.
as it were. And so she says, eventually, I admitted to him that it felt more natural to me to default to wounded female rather than assume responsibility for my desires. So basically saying it felt more natural for me to play victim rather than essentially accept, that like take responsibility for what I am doing. Okay. And then he, for his part, described a large looming X whose adept use of guilt had left its mark. Now she's treating these like they're two completely different scenarios, but they're the same scenario. So this guy, his last girlfriend did what she's doing, playing the
Yeah.
victim, right?
Yep.
And basically trying to make him feel guilty. So
Mm-hmm.
this guy has a pattern of, or at least a pattern of two. I don't know if there's more, but he's getting involved with women who do this to him, and then they use, you know, guilt to shame him or make him feel bad, and it works because he
Mm-hmm.
did it with the first girl, and now he's doing it with this one. And she's writing this though as though they're very different things. So it's like her inability to put herself in his shoes and say, "Wait, I'm doing this, but this his last his ex was basically an ex-girlfriend, so he was in a committed relationship before, was also doing that."
Mm-hmm.
So you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Anyway.
My sexuality owes me neither protection nor affirmation. It is out for itself, out for a skirmish, a strain, a smell. He has questions now about this piece. Aren't I oversimplifying the case of my friend and the lawyer? Isn't what happened there about more than
Yeah.
communication?
He's basically saying
I
you've
can't
learned nothing.
recognize-
What?
He's saying you've learned nothing, lady. You went through this struggle session with him. You discovered that you like to play the victim in order to control people. And he said, you know, I think that this is like my previous girlfriend. And you learn nothing from that. You learn
Mhm.
nothing from that. You learn nothing from your behavior. And you didn't learn that men are people from your struggle session with your friend.
Yep.
That's why he's saying you're flattening them. You're not looking at the situation from their point of view. For example, instead of understanding why that man might feel anxious, or even why he might pretend to be anxious in order to get rid of you, you are laughing at him as being less than a man. Right? You and your friends, men, oh, they're such cowards. They're such half men if they don't have sex with us. Right? That's flattening the man. It's flattening the man into being solely his worth is solely your sexual, whatever you receive sexually from him. That's flattening. And then the sex nerd, you don't want to have sex with because apparently he's too honest. Right? That's flattening. Or at least it's not recognizing your problem. When you just said it, you don't want to own your desires. Maybe you stopped wanting to be around him because he was forcing you to own your desires. And instead, you turned him into a joke. Oh, this weird sex nerd who just swings his penis around like a lightsaber, like a toy lightsaber made out of plastic. Again, it's more than just flattening. It's insulting and belittling the men in your little passion play.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
As a clear incompatibility arising from both of their insecurities. And regarding hermeneutic labor, why would a woman want to
Hermeneutic
be with a
labor?
man who
What?
required so much work?
Hermeneutic labor?
Hermeneutic labor.
How the frick does hermeneutics, the branch of knowledge that deals with interpretation, especially of the Bible or literary texts? Yeah, you're forcing a lot of hermeneutic labor on me and Brian, lady. Good Lord. But I don't think that okay. This man tells you, sex nerd. I'll call him sex nerd. And I don't mean that insulting, just because it's convenient. Sex nerd lays out everything. His intentions, his interests, his motivations, what he wants, what he doesn't want, what he expects, what he doesn't expect. And she's listening to this and she's like, what does he really mean? I need to do so much hermeneutic labor to understand what's underneath the surface of this man. No, you don't. What you're calling hermeneutic labor is the disconnect between what he wants and what he is explicitly going to say he's willing to do with you and what you want.
Mhm.
and your desire to force what you want onto him. Right? You're trying to find your own desires in him, whatever that is. That's not labor you're doing for him, lady. That's you trying to figure out how to play the victim of him somehow. Oh, I'm going to find a loophole and I'm going to prove that he, in this contract, this verbal contract he made with me during the date, that he owes me a relationship. And if he doesn't give it to me, I'm going to play the victim. And I'm going to make him pay, and he better do what I want, or I'm going to spread rumors around, or maybe even get the police involved because I deserve it. I deserve what I want. His opinion doesn't matter. That's what's going on.
Yeah. Yep.
These are horrible people. Like
Oh,
New
yeah.
York Times, did you realize that you found some of the most despicable human beings, and you had one of them write an article about how despicable she is? And not in like a cute, despicable May way. Like a really despicable way. Like this, I'm pretty sure she's on the cluster B spectrum somewhere. She might be taking a little bit from all of them, like a little bit of narcissism, a little bit of antisocial personality disorder, a little bit of borderline personality disorder, a dash of histrionic. She might be the tapas of cluster B personality disorders. Okay. Yes.
Such a
I'm
woman
braced.
must intuit that such a man is not ready for a relationship, or that he is unsure of his feelings for her.
Yeah, but you don't want a relationship.
Yeah, but also, what? Like, if you're talking about sex nerd, you don't have to intuit anything with him. He's practically giving you an itemized binder. Like,
Yeah.
and the guy, Jay, you left your husband for, you don't have to intuit anything with him either. He didn't want you. And this guy who has anxiety, yeah, maybe you need to intuit something here. Read the room, lady. He probably is just saying that because he wants to get rid of you. But I mean, there's nothing more to read into that because he's gone. Like, he's just a ghost. I mean, you can interpret his intentions all you want, but he's decided to exempt himself from your life, which, incidentally, pretty smart move on his part.
Yep.
Isn't she just as much a part of the enactment of whatever heteropessimistic outcome is looming there? In fact, isn't my taking my friend's side, as I seem to do here, related to the phenomenon I am diagnosing? Isn't the impulse to choose a side itself perversely fatalistic, antithetical
what the
to
hell?
the
You haven't
mutual
even
recognition
chosen
that
your-
is the very basis
Okay,
of a
wait.
relationship?
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm talking over her.
I'm just letting her finish the sentence.
All right,
Because
that's
then I
fine.
can find my place on the article. Because I'm looking at the article to reference it.
No, that's fair enough. Please do.
Okay.
I just can't help talking whenever
Yeah.
she says something so fucking stupid. You didn't take your friend's side. You just said it. There's a difference between summarizing or explaining someone's side and taking their side. You are still very much on your own side. And what's hilarious is you're now talking yourself out of the necessity of understanding your friend's side. You're basically saying, well, I could take his side, but, isn't that taking sides? So I'll go back to mine. I was done wrong. All of these men are wrong. It's not me. How convenient, huh?
Yeah. All right. Next. Here we go.
I toppled the whole structure of my life for a man who, when I asked him, "Do you want to be with me or not?" replied, after a few seconds' silence, "I want to be with you, and I want everything everywhere all at once." Jay was referring, of course, to the 2022 surreal sci-fi comedy set across a multitude of parallel universes in which many versions of the protagonists play out many versions of their lives, each millisecond branching fractal-like into countless alternate dimensions, creating infinite selves, infinite fates, infinite answers to the dilemma of how to be and with whom. This film had moved him deeply, seeming to capture qualities of his neurotype that he seldom saw portrayed.
Okay. All right, it was a good film, by the way. I recommend watching it. It was a little disturbing. You didn't like it? No,
Well,
it's
I didn't
fine.
watch it. I'm like kind
I
of
thought it
like
was fine.
I'm not interested in films with multiversal plots
Oh boy.
because I think that it erases the stakes.
Yeah, that's
Um
true. It does. It does have
yeah.
that potential.
So
Just like
and I
the
think that it's sort of like I don't know, like maybe it's something that I don't think we should entertain because it changes the way we view our own existence. But I'm getting a little too meta. I'm just not that interested in that. And it's weird that she references it. And apparently this guy struggles because I guess he wants to believe could be real and it's a weird thing to do, but okay.
no, I don't think that's what it is. Um, he's just using it as a metaphor.
Mm,
Again, Jay is the man that she left her husband for. And her husband was
yeah.
willing to be polyamorous, presumably not with the intention that she leave him for another man. So he was willing to tolerate this or take part in it in order to give her the sexual freedom that she wanted. And again, he was a man who was willing to make a lifetime commitment to her, even allowing her sexual freedom within that lifetime commitment, and that was not sufficient for her. She had to try to make a relationship with Jay, who was her side piece, right?
Hmm.
And Jay, as far as I can tell, never told her that he was in any way interested in a relationship. And now she's basically asking him point blank, do you want a relationship with me? And he's saying, I want whatever I can have with you, and I want to continue to find whatever else I can have. So he's saying, no, lady, you are never going to get, like, I don't think that she understands what she did. You had a man who was willing to commit his life to you, even allow you sexual freedom. And you walked away from that to a man who gave you no commitment and basically said, yeah, I'm willing to see whatever I can get from you, but I also want to see whatever I can get from, Debbie, Sue, Sally, Karen, not our Karen. I don't know,
Hmm.
Delilah, Samantha, what I can get from whoever else I'm interested in. And this is all she's been attracting now is men
Yeah.
who are not interested in giving her a commitment. And then the men who might be interested in giving her commitment nope out of her life by saying, oh, I feel too anxious or whatever else. They just go nope out of her life. Because, get this, lady, you walked away from a man who was willing to give you a commitment for whatever reason, because presumably you liked Jay Moore. And I can tell you why she liked Jay Moore. Less available, right? As soon as her husband gave her that commitment, she no longer felt she could lose out from her husband, right? So she started to develop a sense of contempt. This is my interpretation towards him. And despite the fact that he allowed her to play the field while enjoying a lifetime commitment, wasn't good enough because she lost her sense of FOMO when it came to her husband. But there was Jay giving her that lovely sense of FOMO. Oh, I might miss something. He might disappear. So she chased it, broke the one man who was willing to have a lifetime commitment with her. And the next men that she talks to, they must know at some, because she probably describes some of this on some level, that she is a woman who, it doesn't matter what you give her, she is incapable of a lifetime commitment. So why would these men who are capable of a lifetime commitment be in any way attracted to you? Enjoy your future of men who are like, yeah, I like multiple flavors of ice cream. You can be my pistachio ice cream, but I only like pistachio ice cream Sunday evenings at like 7 till about
Hmm.
10. That's what you get. Then I'm going to go on and I'm going to go on to vanilla, strawberry, I don't know, chocolate crunch. But you can be my pistachio Sunday evening. Yeah, that's fine. That's all you get. That's all you're going to get. And that's all you deserve because you're a despicable human being.
Yeah.
I'm I'm like dominating this. I don't know if
It's
there's
okay.
more that you wanted to add.
Well, no, I mean, I could wait till the end. we did get I think it's a membership thing. I'm not really sure how this works.
Yeah.
Hoffman KSP Engineering, welcome to Seed. So is that a membership?
Yeah.
Thank you for
Yeah, it's a
becoming a
membership.
member. Yeah, I don't really know
Although,
how that works. I'm gonna have to look into that
yeah,
at some point.
I set up the memberships on the channel.
Hmm.
It
I know
honestly, if
Gabriel's got a
you,
membership because his
yeah,
name lights up.
but he
So
also has a membership, I think, through the Feed the Badger.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
mean, you can have memberships. You can have memberships
YouTube.
to through YouTube, but the best memberships to get would be feedthebadger.com/support, because you get access to our entire archive of after shows plus podcasts that I'm creating with my writers group, plus previews of scripted content that I'm creating. Slowly.
And
I'm creating
the
it very
Discord
slowly, but it is
community.
happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I might
All right.
actually, because I'm working on a project. It's going to be like a response to Homath's relationship chart that's called Why Sally Rejects Stu. So why Sally rejects Stu. And because I think he makes a lot of this stuff too complicated, and I think he's missing some dynamics. And I wanted to cover that. I might actually, now that I think of it, I might actually set up some time to discuss that with the supporters, like have like a stream, like an after shows kind of stream where I talk about my ideas and get some feedback. But
Yeah.
anyway, if you Hoffman KSP Engineering, if you go to badgernation.online and get into our Discord, I can hit you up with some stuff if you're interested. Link in the low bar as well. All right.
All right. Thank you. All right, let's keep going.
feedthebadger.com/just-the-tip to send us comments.
Yeah.
Occurs to me that the multiverse mindset may also reflect the cognitive effects of dating apps that, defeatist by design, project a mirage of endless romantic possibilities across infinite timelines. One guy I went out with spoke with a hint of longing about the relationship between his grandparents, who barely spoke to each other before getting married as teenagers in Sicily, thrown together by slim pickings village life, adolescent hormones, and the oppressive myth of female honor. What a system. What a gamble. And then both people were trapped for life. But at least you were spared the anxiety of choice. At least there was that.
And probably they also had, because arranged marriages are often actually working out better than what we have.
Well, if he's talking about his grandparents who barely spoke to each other before getting married as teenagers in Sicily, they were thrown together by the slim pickings village life. So I don't know that we had maybe it wasn't an arranged marriage, but it was more a product of like your circumstances. Like you're poor, you live in a small village, you know everybody, you know all your neighbors, and so they got married. But what? They stayed together, like adolescent hormones and the oppressive myth of female honor. What a system, what a gamble. And then both people were trapped for life. Were they trapped though? But at least you were spared the anxiety of choice. At least there was that.
Well,
Eesh.
yeah, but they made the choice. Like, what do you mean by the anxiety of choice? They both made a lifelong commitment
They're
to each
saying they
other.
didn't have a choice, that they were thrown together by the slim pickings village life.
Yeah, but that's not
it,
like there's slim pickings in New York. That doesn't mean that people don't make choices. Like there's slim pickings for women in New York. You're still making choices, obviously. Like
yeah, I think she wants it to look like there's no choice, and she wants
but
to
they made a
justify
choice. They
her
just
own
committed to it.
inability to make choices by saying, well, your grandparents that probably like were buried next to each other, you know, if they're not alive anymore, they must not have, it must have worked out in some way that's completely incidental, because they didn't have all of the options and all of the freedom and all of the choice that I have. They're stuck with each other because they didn't have anything else. So how could they possibly feel like they have a choice, even though they, despite the way that she's trying to frame it, if this is correct, they got married young, they stayed together, they grew old together, they had children because they are grandparents, so they had children, and those children had children. And maybe those children's children had children as well, because again, she's talking to a grown man who is talking about his one guy I went out with spoke with a hint of longing about the relationship between his grandparents. So that's like 2 generations before this generation, right? So she wants to kind of like try to figure a way to discredit or poo-poo the grandparents' relationship by claiming that they didn't have choices, and that. But then there's a bit of an admission. Well, at least they didn't have to like make the choice, right? And I think that, well, again, I think that the
Well, they
concept
did make a
that there is
choice.
a choice
They
kind of
made it.
like what?
Well, they made a choice. Like there was divorce during.
Yeah.
Honestly, the rate of divorce in the 40s was the same. It's just that there was an increase of marriage. So there's been divorce throughout the entirety of the 20th century.
Yeah.
So they continuously
Sure.
made the choice to
Yeah,
stay
they
together.
but again, she she's I think there's a little bit of condescension in what she's saying
Oh
too. She
yes,
might think, well,
definitely.
they're not modern people. They're ancient people from a small village. They're like, they're like rural folk. They don't know that all of that is out there for them in the real world. Like me, I'm a Manhattan socialite that hangs out with my girlfriends and goes to vegan restaurants, and like I bang random dudes on weekends. I'm actually living. These people are not. You see what I'm saying? Like I think there's like she's making a distinction, but she's doing it
Yeah.
as a form of cope because like things are not working out, and she's trying to figure out why she doesn't want to be with one person, but also is not happy with these like open marriages or open relationships. So
Yes.
I don't know if I'm making sense, but you see what I'm saying? Like I think that might be. And then she says this other thing too, which I think people might misunderstand, where she says um they were married as teenagers in Sicily, thrown together by slim pickings of village life, adolescent hormones, and the oppressive myth of female honor. So what does she mean by that? I think this is what I think, okay? When she says the oppressive myth of female honor, she's suggesting that I guess the idea that we see that, well, she believes that people see women as, something that as a being with honor that must be defended. That is to refer to their chastity, which of course she doesn't believe in. So she's saying we're not honorable because that is oppressive to think of me as someone who can't be, like lascivious and like sexually active with multiple partners. When you say I am a woman, therefore I have a certain kind of honor, you're actually oppressing me because you're applying a standard to my behavior, and you're doing it in
Mm-hmm.
a way that is complimentary by saying, "Oh, but you're a honorable, person." But she sees it as oppressive because she wants to be, a slut. She wants to be a slut, and she wants
Yeah.
that to be either ignored or celebrated, but certainly not um, judged. So, does that make sense? That's what I think, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
It
we got a
does make
super
sense.
chow.
Great.
Richard Bier gave us 5 and says perhaps she is annoyed that he isn't requesting cooter muffins from her.
I have no idea what that means.
It sounds like some Gwyneth Paltrow stuff. Remember when they were making like bread yeast out of vaginal yeast? Yeah, I remember that.
Can we not
Now you
remove
have to
that?
remember it. Yeah, they were baking with it. Feminist baking. Anyway, yeah. All right, let's keep going. I think we're into a twist here.
Image. Credit. Illustration by Kristina Tsikova.
Sorry, that was a subtitle for an image, but this is the real paragraph.
The structure of my life needed toppling, it turned out, and I am grateful, and I have been doing my best to be Jay's friend. On a recent afternoon, my daughter and I sat on a blanket in a park with him. A group of teenagers were playing volleyball nearby, using a horizontally growing tree as their net. My daughter had a hankering to swing on that tree, and so we were keeping an eye on the teenagers, waiting for them to disband, urging her to be patient. A few days later, I received a characteristically whimsical text. In some other timeline, we're still waiting by that tree for the teenagers to finish playing volleyball. Some other timeline. The phrase captures not only Jay's inclination to keep all possibilities perpetually and wistfully open, but my own dogged attachment to a foreclosed dimension, my pouring into that hypothetical so much vitality, care, and hope, laborious hope, that might have been and might still be reserved for what is possible and happening now, only once, in my fleeting middle age. To forego
What
life
the
for a fantasy,
fuck?
what could be more fatalistic than that?
Stop making me do I don't. This is hermeneutics. It's more
Yeah.
like hermeneutic gymnastics. Good Lord. What the fuck did she just say? Okay, I'm not supposed to swear. I'm sorry.
I gotta get like I need like a legend. I need to like
What are you
decrypt this shit.
hoping?
Okay.
Okay,
So she
maybe
says,
read it
God, I hate
again
this.
in your voice, and maybe it'll make more sense.
All right.
Like
A few
calm,
days later, I
diplomatic.
received a characteristically whimsical text in some other timeline. This is from the guy that was into that movie with the multiverse. In some other timeline, we're still waiting by that tree for the teenagers to finish playing volleyball. Some other timeline. The phrase captures not only Jay's inclination to keep all possibilities perpetually and wistfully open, but my own dogged attachment to a foreclosed dimension. My pouring into that hypothetical so much vitality, care, and
You
hope.
aren't dogged. Okay, you are not doggedly attached to a closed dimension. You got rid of it. You
Reserved for what is
also
possible and
you are
happening now.
Jay. You
Yeah.
like this is the heart of the matter. This woman is Jay. This woman is sex nerd, right? She is these people. But she does, for whatever reason, she's not willing to be honest about it. She's these people, and yet she wants some poor fool to be her anchor point of attachment. Well, you got rid of the poor fool, and another one's not popping up for you. Like, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like these men are being honest about what they are, and this woman is not. She wants something. She wants things that are incompatible. Which is really hilarious because she had it. She had a man who was willing to give her a secure anchor and sexual license, and she threw it away. And now she's apparently wanting to find it again. Well, you threw it away, and you're never going to find that because you've proven to every man that you date, every single one of them, that you cannot have a committed relationship and sexual license. You have proven that to them. This is the thing. Like, these men are looking at you with in complete pragmatism based on your actions, and you don't understand that. Men are like in a different realm, judging you by your actions, lady. And that's incomprehensible. I'm like, but I'm performing fidelity. That's what I want people to think I am. Why don't they see me in the way that I want them to? Aren't men supposed to do that? Do what I want? But they are responding to you based on your actions. You are not somebody who can have a committed relationship, right? And you're never going to get it because your actions tell everyone around you that you are not someone who can have a committed relationship. You can't even have a committed relationship when the man is not even asking for you to be faithful to him. You know, he's probably just saying, hey, yeah, you can play the field, just come home to me. And that was too much for you. Like I said, this is a despicable human being with no self-awareness.
Nope. All right, let's keep going.
Maybe the problem is that you're a romantic, says my former lover slash friend slash male sensitivity reader. And maybe so are the other fatalists.
Stop simping for this woman, dude.
Yeah, stop simping.
Maybe.
Stop lying to her.
I've long known that romanticism and fatalism are dialectical lovers. When love fails, the very quality that elevated it above the common thrum of experience makes it impossible to imagine anything of the kind ever occurring again. The miraculous singularity of being in love is thus particularly fertile soil for a generalizing pessimism. I'm attracted to men because I love making bad choices, goes one quintessentially hetero-fatalist tweet. This turn, from one man to the imaginary monolith of men, both deprives the wounding man of specificity and shows him a certain loyalty. By casting him to play an entire gender, we make sure that we will meet him again. There is something here of the spirited young man's frenzied renunciation, slamming the door on romance with an intensely romantic slam, then wedding herself to a male abstraction.
I hate the way this is written.
Yeah,
I
it
hate the way
is
this is written because
incredibly.
I feel like it doesn't know if it's just, I don't know, like entertaining the art of writing, or if it's trying to say something intellectual that we can actually discuss. And
Well, I
I
mean,
think it's
it's
trying to have both of those things and is failing at both of those things.
just like she's trying to have both of something else,
Yeah, it's
and
like
she
she's
did
trying to
have it.
have it all.
But that's the funny thing, is that she did have it. She had a committed relationship. She had the ability to play the field, and she threw it away.
Yeah.
She did have both. And the thing is that she is that, by that very action, she's proven to everyone she's categorically incapable of having both. She will self-destruct both. She'll probably self-destruct one or the other too. She's inherently self-destructive, and men are responding to her because she's inherently self-destructive. You know, these guys who are like, well, yeah, you can be my flavor of the this weekday. You know, that's fine. They're responding to her correctly because she's self-destructive. And she
Yeah.
cannot, like, what if they committed to her and they gave her sexual license, she's going to blow the relationship up. So why would they invest emotionally in someone who's going to do that to them? Can she not see that her actions have led her to this circumstance and led her to the behavior of the men that she is surrounded by?
Yep.
That's where she's failing to see it. And she sometimes has insight into other women, but it's like she gets to the precipice, the moment of maybe having insight into her own behavior and how it has constructed her reality, and then she runs away from it into the arms of, no, men have infinite agency to construct reality in the way that I want. And they are obligated to do so. So even though I can't exist in a relationship, in a committed relationship with sexual license, I can't exist in it. I will implode it. Men somehow have to make it so my mind doesn't do that. Good luck.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Let's see if we can finish it.
One thing heterofatalism reflects is a persistent lack of faith that those we desire will be able to recognize us as commensurately human. I wonder how much, fearing what we expect and expecting what we fear, we summon the old-fashioned man-woman stuff that keeps coming around. A woman comes, a man withdraws. This embodiment needn't necessarily become pregnant with larger meaning, but it often does. I end up wondering if it is my own fault somehow when the heterosexual dynamic cannot seem to transcend its own tropes, subvert its own
Yes.
play out an entirely unpredictable scene.
Yes, it is 100% your own fault. Like, this is astounding that this gets published. This is 100%
Yeah, like why
your
isn't
own
this
fault.
thing that always works out the same way not subverting itself without completely collapsing? Because that's the way it works. That's like, why doesn't my toaster turn on when I fill it with water?
Why do I keep why is it that when I hit myself in the head with a brick it hurts?
Yeah, right.
Why did men
Why
do
doesn't
this
it
to me?
instead just like put me in a gentle state of sleep, a deep sleep state without any pain? You know,
The men did
why
it,
doesn't
Brian.
why does the pool burn? Like, or doesn't it burn?
The pool? Why is
This
the
is
pool
this
wet?
this is like she
Why
wants
when I
reality to be different than what it
why
is.
do
And then
why
what with the
when I
fact that reality is what it is, she calls it a trope. This is a
yes.
trope, men and women liking each other, getting married and having kids. It's so old-fashioned. We need something new. Why haven't I
It's a
found this
trope.
new thing that isn't that, but works very similar to that? She's making the case for arranged marriages. I don't know if you guys know. Like, this is a woman that should have just been like, from the moment she was hit puberty, her father is like, okay, this is the guy you're marrying. Shut up. You know, you're just going to live with him and make the most of it. I think she'd be happier. I hate to say it, but I
Well,
don't think
yeah.
that giving this woman liberation was a good idea, because
No, but
she's unraveling. She's unraveling in this thing.
she
Because
had
she
a committed
wants a
relationship.
reality that doesn't exist, and because she thinks that it might be some parallel universe somewhere where that exists, well, we can have it here then too. And it's like, no. And then when other people are happy because they're doing the thing that she thinks is a trope, she gets sick to her stomach at it. Like,
Yeah. Well, and she doesn't even really know what they're doing, but
no,
she
but
had it. This is the thing. This is what's so insane. She had a committed relationship and sexual license. And for whatever reason, she imploded. Chorizo said she wasn't happy. Well, then it didn't make her happy. Why is she continuing to seek that? And furthermore, she got her chance of getting a man who would commit to her for life. Now she'll never get that again.
maybe being happy is not the most important thing, though.
No, yeah, and baby being happy. Well, obviously, because she's chasing happiness and all she's finding is misery. And like I said, she had it. She had a committed relationship. She had sexual license. Her husband was like, yes, you can have sex with whomever you want, presumably as long as we stay in the relationship, right? We still have a relationship at the end of the day. Okay. She divorced and chased this dude that she was having a relationship with. She herself, chorizo. There's no man who can fix this. You as a man aren't infinitely capable. You aren't the one good man who can fix her. Because as soon as you give her a committed relationship and sexual license, fa-choom, she's out the door. Right? It's in her. The problem is in her. It's beyond men's ability to fix. Only she can fix it. Unless you're Brian, we did the arranged marriage thing. Just didn't give her the opportunity. Okay, let's keep going.
Let's play some more.
Saracen rightly pokes fun at the privileged ignorance of straights, who, in moments of yearning to experience a desire that we imagine as more extricable from our own oppression, announce a wish to be queer. No relationship, regardless of gender, orientation, number of people, is immune from power dynamics. Unequal distribution is always, so to speak, on the bed. But in queer relationships, the roles are at least less determined, with perhaps more freedom and flexibility in who assumes which and how. In other words, maybe our pessimism about straightness arises in part from a dawning sense of its anachronism. Maybe.
Wait.
Of interest.
You are full of shit. No, it's not me imploding my life. It's the end of relationships between men and women entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Good Lord.
Yeah, my life doesn't suck. I'm just a harbinger.
Harbinger.
I just see the writing on the wall. It's over for everybody. Like, I'm not a failure. Everybody's a failure. We're all failures, guys. Who among us? Like, yeah,
Who among us
this is
hasn't
just like
had?
I said. He's a loser. I said this in the last one. This is what a
Yeah.
female loser looks like. This is a loser.
Well,
And
this is worse than a loser. She's
worse
like,
than a loser, yes. Worse than a
She's-
loser, because they're a loser trying to delude themselves into thinking that they're actually a winner.
well, but also she's destructive. She's destructive towards other people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so she's more than a loser. She's an abuser. She's an abuse-a-loser. Okay, sorry.
Badong.
Badong. Abuse-a-loser.
Gotta be
badong.
bad and wrong. Badong. She's a new word for
Badong.
that.
She's bad and wrong. Badong.
Badong.
But okay. Again, she had it all. She threw it away, and everything after that is just cope. Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
It's just cope and the inability to recognize you had what you wanted, you threw it away, you didn't get what you thought you were going to get. Right? You went for the side piece, you thought you'd get commitment from him and sexual license, and he was like, "Nope. You're smarter than your husband." He's like, "Nope, goodbye." No, you're not going to get that from me.
But let's look at, okay, setting aside the fact that this is just cope and everything that we said, she tries to she brings it back to this sort of like feminist paradigm or leftist paradigm of power dynamics, because that's what it always comes down to all the time. And she says no relationships, regardless of gender, orientation, or number of people, is immune from power dynamics. Unequal distribution is always, so to speak, on the bed. But in queer relationships, the roles are at least less determined, with perhaps more freedom and flexibility in who assumes which and how. In other words, maybe our pessimism about straightness arises in part from a dawning sense of its anachronism. Like I said before, oh, this is old fashioned, getting together, making babies. Oh, wow. Whoa. What do you,
Yeah,
do
but
you
this
also
is
say 23 skidoo? Maybe like the surge of interest in straight monogamy, it's part of heterosexuality's clumsy process of queering itself into a more fluid future. So this woman's just attacking like heterosexuality, and she told us this big long story of all of her failed relationships and her failure to understand human dynamics and human nature and her failure to understand what marriage and family and children are, while by the way having children, which we only heard about like in one part of the entire thing. And she's trying to justify tearing down not just patriarchy, but like just the human race, because that's what
yeah.
happens when you attack the relationship between men and women. You're tearing down the human race itself because you're trying to become like an engineer of who should be allowed to reproduce and who should not. And of course, if you're against heterosexuality, but you're just calling it hetero pessimism or hetero fatalism, then you're basically just against the human race. Because there's no, unless you want to bring in like artificial wombs and shit, which I'm not for. But even then, it's like, but that's still a product of like people like this can still make the argument that even if you use artificial means to do it, you're still engaging in some heterosexual act which she has to be against. So she's like a political lesbian, but she's calling herself queer because I guess she doesn't like, she can't actually be a lesbian because she likes dick too much. So she can't actually do it. So she's trying
Okay.
to justify all of this.
And honestly, there are some really big and telling inconsistencies. One, we're not talking about a locked down marriage she was in. She was in a heterosexual marriage in which the man allowed her to play the field. Okay. Why was that not enough? Right? She said that's not enough. I need to go and attempt to make this other dude commit to me. And the thing is that this is a monster from the id for women. She lost her FOMO for her husband. She lost that feeling like he might leave. She had it for the man. She probably mistaked a more intense emotional connection with the FOMO of her side piece being able to leave her or not being as committed to her. So she chased that. This is the monster from the id of women. And we've freed them to be subject to the monsters of their own id. And then when the monsters from their id construct a dissatisfying scenario that they exist within, we blame men. There's nowhere are men to blame for this woman's situation. Yes, they are not giving her what she wants, but they don't have to. Men's consent is just as inviolate as women's consent. None of these men owe her a relationship. None of these men owe her sex. They owe her responding to her in the way that she's demonstrated her character to be as a result of her actions. That's it. That's what they're doing. And she has constructed this whole thing. And then the other thing is, she talks about heterosexual tropes, but I don't know if you picked this up, Brian. She says that it's not just a trope for men to pursue women. It's also a trope for women to pursue men, specifically heterosexual tropes. So basically, she's got it both ways, which means the only thing that she's saying is dead is I guess men and women coming together in any way.
Yeah.
Like, and she does this because she says it's a trope, and it's a tired trope both ways, by the way, guys. Whenever it's convenient for her to cope with the fact that she let the monsters from her id get out and ruin her life. And this is like what this woman needs is she needs to listen to me and Brian. and probably
Yeah.
Hannah and Karen. She
First,
needs, and she
first
needed
things
to
first, admit that you were wrong and that
admit you were
you
wrong,
made
and
bad,
then
bad choices and that you drove
listen,
away people that you
that
would
cared about
probably have
you.
made you happy because you had FOMO.
Yes. You have FOMO and you had complacency. Your husband, you felt complacent with your husband. You experienced FOMO with this Jay guy, and you thought that meant your emotions towards Jay were more intense. And so you chased him. He didn't want to become your husband. He's fine with being your side piece, didn't want to become your husband. And now you have this bitterness and cope because you destroyed your own life. And you destroyed a life in which you were getting everything you apparently wanted. Congratulations. You
Yeah.
fucked yourself because you're a loser. Okay.
All right. Let's play the rest of this.
In straight non-monogamy. It's part of heterosexuality's clumsy process of queering itself into a more fluid future. To break the impasse of complementary twiness that can grip any pair of people, Jessica Benjamin
She means Tunis, not Twanis. Okay.
imagines how we might collaborate over time.
No, maybe she
And the
does.
time is crucial to create an
No, that would be
interconnected
freeness.
a space in which your needs and mine, your desires and mine, recognize and accept each other without competing for dominance. To create such a space, Benjamin says, requires a mutual surrender that is distinct from submission. I find this distinction difficult to grasp, which is perhaps to say that I experience desire in terms of a struggle that someone must lose. I am ready to cop to some unconscious masochism here. A good man is hard to want, after all, and my sexuality owes me neither protection nor affirmation.
You're a
It is
victim of
out
your
for itself,
sexuality, are you?
out for a skirmish, a strain, a smell. The old way of mating is dead, said my friend at our colloquy of female complaint over dinner, and the new one has yet to be born. What is the new one? Pessimism may help us feel knowing, but really, we don't know. For now, life has us pinned here. I like to make you wait.
So
Let
she's
me
trying to
finish it
make the
off.
argument that heterosexuality, like there's this thing that I noticed that I've seen for a long
Mhm.
time, where people try to like nudge you away from the normal by making the abnormal seem trendy, or they invent trends. There's this new trend going around. It's called being gay, and they try to push it on you. Like they do it. They've been doing it with men forever. Have you seen the new things where guys give each other bro jobs? And they just write endless articles about it in the hopes that some men will be like, well, that sounds cool. I guess I'll try it. Like that doesn't happen, but they push for it. And this is the same thing. Oh, heterosexuality in families. That's so like for all time. We've been doing that for so long. Why don't we try something different? Let's be like polyamory queer and not have any babies anymore. How about that? Let's try that out. And then it's like you're not cool if you don't want to do that. Like, oh, that's so. What are you, like a square? What are you like? You like got a stick up your butt because you don't let me go bang other dudes. While in all this, while they're the ones that are miserable. Like she's
Yep.
miserable because she's a loser. And she wants
Mhm.
everyone else to be losers so she doesn't feel as bad. And she's trying to use this kind of like, oh, this is like, but this is what's in. The kids are doing it. This is what the kids are doing right now. That's not happening. They're trying to make up trends.
You know, none of this would have happened. None of this would have happened if she had control. I mean, she had an open relationship with a husband, so she had commitment and she had the ability to play the field. Right? That's what she had. None of this subsequent bullshit would have happened if she had the emotional insight and regulation to realize that what the feelings that she was catching for Jay were FOMO, right? She hadn't locked him down, and she felt like she wanted to lock him down, right? She wanted, because he was giving her that feeling, oh, he could escape. So she wanted to lock him down. And because her husband wasn't giving FOMO, she was developing contempt. And that anxiety was making her feelings with Jay feel more intense. And that complacence was making her feelings with her husband feel less powerful. And she didn't have the insight to recognize what was happening and stop it, right? She didn't. She let herself be, what does she say? A victim of her sexuality, right? I can't help it. My sexuality's out for itself, right? And she destroyed. She had it both ways. She had everything. She was the modern woman. She was in a modern heterosexual relationship, and she destroyed it because she is still living out primitive patterns, right? All of the men around her are more advanced than she is. All of them have got their shit in order. All of them are being very clear about what they want. They are negotiating appropriately. Her husband was willing to give her what she wanted while providing a commitment. She was being more self-sacrificing than her. And at no step in the way, in any of this, did she stop and think, what do I owe the people around me? Instead of what do I owe my husband for being so gracious as to give me a committed relationship and let me play the field? Is leaving him really what he's owed? And if leaving men like this is what's going to happen, why would men do this? Right? Why would any man commit to me when apparently I'm never satisfied and I don't understand commitment and I'm incapable of it? Right? Sex nerd's going to come right out and say, I'm not interested in commitment. I just want to play the field. He's going to be honest about who he is. She can't even do that. She's not even evolved enough to do that, to be honest about who she is. She is going to just continue to play out these primitive patterns in her own head and insist that men are to blame for what she is doing to her own life. She doesn't have the emotional regulation or the emotional awareness for any of this. You're right, Brian. And she would be better off if men were making the decisions for her. She'd be less miserable because she can't make these decisions. I cannot I cannot state this enough. She got the modern heterosexual relationship and she did not want it. She destroyed it because she brought to it primitive patterns, and women bring these primitive patterns to everything that they do because they are not expected to take responsibility for understanding themselves and controlling their emotions. And the reason why they are not expected to is because they get the excuse to trump all excuses, which is everything is a man's fault. How is it a man's fault? How is any of this in this story a man's fault? None of it is. And the only way at this point, the only way to make men take responsibility for this is to take away their ability to consent to this woman. And then just have her make the decision and the government enforce it at the point of a gun.
Yep.
Because there's nowhere else we can go at this point. And I'm actually really shitting tired of the people who constantly give women excuses for the monsters from their id and expect men to somehow wrangle those monsters with nothing. And if men actually figure out a way to wrangle those monsters like the pickup artists, they make that a crime. Or they start to socially ostracize it, or they close it down, or they censor it. So anyway, if men develop the means to wrangle women's monstrous id, our society tries to destroy that too. Like, good Lord. Like, it's just grotesque. Like, this is beyond actually despicable. It's grotesque. Mm-hmm. This woman is grotesque. And like, I'm not even coming from a conservative position. I'm coming from a position of know yourself. Be honorable to the people around you. I know maybe this is a conservative position, but I'm not going to say that she can't have an open relationship. But if she wants one, be honest. Be honorable to the people around you. And don't implode what you say you want. Like, consider the feelings of the people who are part of this situation. Don't be beholden to these primitive instincts. Like, be aware of them. Regulate them. Yeah, and I don't know if that's a conservative position because I'm not going to say her not to do it. I'm going to tell her that she has a responsibility to her husband. She has a responsibility to listen to Jay and take him at face value, what he says, not perform hermeneutics to try to reframe it in a way that he owes her something, and then guilt and abuse him based on her reframing of what he owes her. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could have utopia. We could all be triples and quadruples and free love, except one pesky thing: the monsters from the female id. Okay.
Well, maybe. Well, yeah. So that was the end of the article. I think I basically said what I wanted to say about it.
Oh yeah, boy. If we could try the other article. How long is it?
Where have men gone? So this one is actually not a response to this article
Oh, it
that we
isn't.
just read. No, there was an
I feel like
article
it's similar.
called. No, there was an article called "Men, Where Have You Gone? Please Come Back."
Oh yes, that one, which we have
This is in
also covered.
response to that.
Okay, I think that these two articles, the Where Have You Gone, Come Back, and the Heterofatalism article, are sort of
Mhm.
from the same kind of thought sphere.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because it's sort of okay. So it's not a direct response to it, but it's sort of a response to something that we have responded to. So I think it's still valid, right?
Sure.
How long is it?
Well, it's some letters. It's
Oh,
kind of
okay.
long. Yeah, it goes
Well,
for a bit.
it's not too bad. Doesn't
We
look like
can
it's too bad.
just read a couple of them. They're
Yeah,
basically like
sure.
short responses, okay?
Okay,
So,
sounds good.
all right. So if you're watching this on the mobile, you're not going to be able to see it, but it's nothing. It's just text anyway, so you're not missing
It's boring.
anything. So there was an article on June 20th. There was an essay on modern love. Rachel Drucker wrote called "Men, Where Have You Gone? Please Come Back." And the author, Rachel Drucker, lamented an absence of men in the dating arena. And it goes, I'm not going to read all that shit, but she basically wrote, in short, it wasn't intimacy, it wasn't mutuality, it was access to stimulation, clean, fast, and frictionless. Her essay led to an extraordinary amount of reader emails, nearly all from men. Here's a selection, edited for length and clarity. Also, it's worth pointing out that men don't usually write in response to things, so this is particularly telling because men felt the need to respond. All right, before I get into it, I did get another super chow from Richard Bier for 5, and he says, I think that we can identify who wrote the speeches and talking points for Kamala Harris. No, Kamala will be able to get through that because of the fucking vocabulary. But okay. So Jonathan Stowe, Charlottesville, Virginia, says Rachel Drucker's essay captures a real and painful longing for presence, reciprocity, and emotional connection. But if men are retreating, it's not out of indifference. It's often out of exhaustion and confusion. Dating today places enormous and conflicting demands on men. We're still expected to pay for dates, take the lead, and demonstrate confidence, while also being emotionally available, deferential, and self aware. The goalposts shift constantly, and women's expectations are often unstated or contradictory. Emotional openness in men is encouraged in theory, but penalized in practice. And the risk of being misjudged, misquoted, or shamed online makes genuine vulnerability feel dangerous. Many of us want connection, but not at the cost of constant anxiety about saying or doing the wrong thing. If we're to come back, as the essay pleads, it has to be to a space of mutual grace and clarity. The new normal hasn't been defined yet. We need to create it together. So, very well thought out and diplomatic, I'd say. And these are the
Yes.
ones they picked, so they probably, you have to understand that this was selected
Vetted.
by the New York
Yeah.
Times. So this is like cherry picked, arguments. There was probably some that were more, let's say, blunt. So, but
Yeah.
they probably didn't make it in. I don't know.
Okay,
All
so
right. Yeah, go ahead.
okay, if we were to come back, so he talks about anxiety, which is a big topic in the article that we just finished. How much do you feel like that woman that we were listening to gives men a space to get it wrong. Yeah.
No.
Not if she's sitting there shaming men for saying no to her with her friends, which is disgusting, and insulting men's sexuality in public, which says a lot. Right?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. If men, this letter, let's bring it down to brass tacks. This letter basically says if women do not allow men a soft landing and a place to be wrong in a way that isn't completely destructive to their life and their social presence in that life, then men are not going to come back. Women have to take responsibility for the monsters from their id, essentially. Okay.
All right. Morgan Clark of Studio City, California says, perhaps men and women are in a holding pattern and we don't know what's next. But as a white urban married father of 2 late teen boys, I can say it's an increasingly daunting task to meet the ever-changing expectations of what a man should be, according to women, but more important, according to ourselves and our self-worth. No one should feel sorry for us, but nor should they complain when we become introspective and quietly check our guts when deciding how to proceed.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, well, yeah, it's fine. I mean, you're right. It's a daunting task, yes. But he's married,
And
so like I don't think you should fear you have to worry about your boys though. So
yes,
that's probably why
that's what
he's
a
bringing
lot
this
of
up.
that's
Yeah.
what a lot of men and women are worried about, their
Mhm.
boys in the dating landscape.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You better
well,
get to
we
know your
just, and
neighbor.
again, this is talking about being anxious, being socially anxious. And I got into a long argument with Alexander Datesike,
Yeah.
Alex Datesike, and I said that this current dating landscape disincentivizes conscientious men. They're told that approaching a woman is traumatic for women, right? It's a trauma, and they're not going to do it. And it's not just because of being afraid of approaching, it's about being told that your approach is unwanted and potentially traumatic. And I actually did a poll, and there were men who said they don't want to approach because they feel it's traumatic for the woman. Right? And how do you argue men out of that? You can't.
Mhm.
Because if they care about women, they're not going to do it. They've been told it's traumatic for the woman, so they don't approach. I mean, there were also men who said that, they're worried about false accusations, which is perfectly valid. But this dating landscape makes men afraid of approaching women because of false accusations, not just because of false accusations, but because it presents the notion that men approaching women harms women.
Yep.
And the men who are going to listen to that are men who do not want to harm women. They want to act honorably towards women. And the men who don't listen to that, we're selecting for a particular type of man who doesn't listen to that message. I'll leave it as a exercise for the viewer what type of man that is. All right. Next one.
Next one. I think what's going on is that for the past 20 years, men and boys, 10 to 20 years, men and boys have been marginalized, probably in response to women being marginalized before that. It feels like punishment, but for something that current men never did, at least not consciously or intentionally. Everything in the culture says woman good, men bad. What I think Mrs. Drucker is asking for is leadership and confidence in men, but we've been told that those are toxic traits, so here we are. Justin Hornberg, Bloomfield, Michigan. Well, I think your first mistake, sir, is that you thought that it's a response to something that happened to women when it's not, and that you're just being punished for existing as a man. And you got to accept that. This isn't like women getting revenge because there's nothing to get revenge for. They're just convinced that they've been aggrieved somehow, and that they're looking for revenge for something that didn't happen to them. So
Okay. Next one.
All right. Brendan Collins, Detroit, Michigan. There has been a concentrated message, especially over the past decade, that masculinity is toxic. The Marlboro Man persona is misogynistic. Acting like a guy means you are guilty of sins against the current social norms and open to all the consequences those sins merit. Whether that's true or not is at least how it seems. The younger generation has been cowed into submission. The age old dance of courtship and self discovery has taken on a more ominous tone, where men understand, rightly or wrongly, that a wrong word, phrase, or action, however innocent, can have devastating effects on their lives. Their social faux pas are no longer private. Indeed, there are social media pages such as Are We Dating the Same Guy that post reviews of dates and name names. It basically was tea before there was tea. It was hard enough impressing a woman to keep her interested in a second date, but men have no desire to be contestants on a social media game show. Well, it's actually more like Call of Duty, but yes. It's more like a Call of Duty lobby than a game
Yeah.
show.
This is
But
interesting.
yeah, I mean they're
Because
starting to see this. These are like normal people, you know?
this particular letter actually pointed out that the reward isn't worth it. Like, and I don't know what women are thinking. They're showing, like, they're doing articles like the one we just read, in which they're describing, mocking men for saying no to them sexually, basically. And they're putting up TikToks in which they mock men's approaches and they mock men's emotions. What do you think that's going to do? It's going to leave an extremely sour taste in a lot of men's mouths.
Yep.
So that's the first article that sort of said, well, maybe that's not worth it.
Yep.
Maybe women aren't worth it.
All right, next, Kyle Kernan, New York City. I've spent the past year trying to show up differently, to prioritize presence in both dating and friendship. I quit drinking for 75 days this spring and early summer, hoping to reconnect with a version of myself I could stand by. In that time, I approached dating with more intention and less performative energy. But what I found was a strange paradox. The more I showed up with presence, the more disposable I
Okay,
felt.
I got to get
So
in
much of
here.
dating
I
feels
got to get in here.
transactional.
Brian, that
What?
first paragraph is
Yeah.
exactly what I was talking about. Right? The more I showed up with presence, the more disposable I felt. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That dynamic with that woman,
Mhm.
because she had that commitment with her husband, she started to feel complacence, and the complacency bred contempt, whereas she didn't have that commitment with Jay, which created a sense of fear of missing out, which she misinterpreted as a heightened emotional connection or something.
Yeah.
But as soon as a man gives her that commitment, it starts breeding the complacency and the contempt. That's what this guy is noticing, right? That's what's happening with women. It is monsters from the id. If men
Yeah.
give them commitment, they start to breed complacency and contempt. And this is something that's documented well beyond dating. If you have more choices, you're less satisfied with the choice you make. Right? It starts to breed contempt with the choice you make, complacency with the choice, and then contempt, and then a desire to change it. Okay.
Yeah. So much of dating feels transactional. A quick scan or for red flags is a test to see how efficiently someone might fit into a curated life. I get it. We're all protecting something, but I've started to feel like connection isn't something we build anymore. It's something we sample. And if it doesn't provide instant validation or stimulation, we move on. We talk a lot about men disappearing emotionally, physically, and that's valid. But I also think there are men out here trying to appear fully and without pretense and not finding much space to land. The script has flipped in some ways. Control over commitment, detachment as armor. These aren't limited to men, they're a symptom of something broader.
Mm.
I think you keep saying we, but you do understand that at the end of the day, women are the ones that choose who they want to go on dates with, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of have to like ask yourself, like there are guys who are like, I show up, I'm here, and I'm not getting any attention. Well, maybe you're not the 1%. Maybe that's why. I don't know.
Well,
Um,
there's symptoms of something broader, and the symptoms is that we have taught generation upon generation upon generation of women that their social value comes from rejecting men.
Yep.
But here we are. The more present you are, the more she wants to reject you. The less present you are, the less she can reject you. And men are adapting to that. It's like this woman. She had a man who was present. She had a husband. She got rid of her, or got rid of him for a man who was less present. And that less present man said, no, I'm not giving you any more presents. And then she got upset and wrote an entire article that was cope over her own decision. The own fact that she can't handle a monster from her head, which is that when man gives her a commitment, she feels complacent and then contempt. And when a man doesn't give her commitment, she pursues because she has a fear of missing out. But as soon as he gives her commitment, complacence, contempt, ejection. Because on a fundamental level, she views her social value in terms of rejecting men. And we have now many millions of women distorting the dating landscape because they have that attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Gilbert N. Garcia, Pipe Creek, Texas. Darling, we're everywhere. Some of us are straight, some gay, some amorphous, some macho, some fragile, some funny, some depressing, and some just plain in person and style. But we're here, let loose. Start with a hello. Okay.
Well, he's basically telling women to make the initiative.
Yeah,
but women aren't going to do that because that opens themselves up to rejection, which is like existential death for women. This is what's so funny. Like I remember watching Shoe on Head's article or video on modern dating, and the way that the women in her video responded to being rejected was, they attempted to reverse Uno the rejection. And I'm like, men who get rejected, they might do sour grapes, they might be insulting, they might accept it, whatever. But it's not like they're trying to erase the rejection entirely and just not undo the reality and replace it with them rejecting. Like, because these women would be like, and it was the most hilariously obvious childish thing, like embarrassingly so. And they would do it. So man would be like, no, I'm not interested. And the woman would be like, that's because I'm not interested in you. Good day, sir. I'm like, it's freaking, and it's one thing to accept a rejection badly. It's another thing to try to reject the rejection that it even happened.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's keep going.
Okay. This lament felt a little bit like men complaining about where all the happy housewives of the 1950s disappeared to. Women used to love to do our laundry, cook our food, raise our kids, and greet us with a smile. What happened? Of course, what happened was that women woke up, and now men have too. That's not true, but okay. Dating has always been a lousy deal for men. It's fantastically expensive and getting more so all the time. Drinks, dinner, a show, maybe a weekend away. And despite the progress of women, the expectation is that men will pay most of the time. Men are expected to take the initiative from the first greeting to the first date, the first touch, and many, many more interactions before real intimacy ever happens. Statistically, most encounters will end in failure. It's exhausting. Well, part of it is that you felt like there's something deserved about this. Like it came from somewhere. You say complaining about the happy housewives of the 1950s. Like you're literally starting from a false premise, and then you're criticizing where we are now based on that premise that didn't exist. I mean, you're right about the problems, but you can't be like, oh, now it's sort of like two wrongs equals a who cares. You're like, oh, well, it was like in the 50s and now it's this. Oh, well, it's like, no, that's not what happened. Like, that's not what happened. It got worse after this, like the sexual revolution. Just like admit this, like just accept this. Okay.
Yeah.
Like that's where the problem started when, you got the sexual revolution, the women's liberation movement that followed up with things like no fault divorce and all this other stuff. And now here we are. Here we are in this mess. And that's just what it is. Like, you know, the Me Too movement, like these are all steps towards driving men and women further and further apart in little steps over time. And so when you make it sound like, you know, first it was this and then it was this, you're well, I don't know. I mean, I get it. You don't know. You're just a normal person that just watched TV and believed whatever the square told you. But that's just not true. So Great Indoors sent a super chow for 5 and says, what about that thankfully short trend I saw of women videotaping men having fun or just doing something with that added capture? Men used to go to war. Now they do this. In other words, women used to shame men into war with white feathers because there was a conflict going on. Now women shame men into war because they think men are simply blocking their view.
Oh, it's probably a reaction to the fact that women are being shamed for not being women anymore or not doing their role anymore. Well, the thing is that men never stopped. Their role never stopped. I mean, it just is paused. It's put on pause. But the instant the big powers that be in the West need to sacrifice men, they will. Anyway, let's do the next one.
All right, this is the last one.
Oh, cool.
So this is from Klaus Sturzenbecker of Munich, Germany. So now we went far afield for this reaction. Rachel Drucker's essay is powerful and evocative, but it draws its force from a one-sided idealization of women's roles in today's dating landscape. Throughout the piece, women are portrayed as emotionally mature, open, resilient, and consistently willing to show up for real connection. Men, in contrast, are depicted as avoidant, uncertain, or emotionally absent. This narrative overlooks important realities. Emotional unavailability, fear of vulnerability, or even passive or ambiguous communication are not exclusively male shortcomings, they are human ones. The challenges of modern dating, commitment issues, avoidance, superficiality, and ghosting are experienced and enacted by both women and men. By casting women as ever-present and hopeful and men as those who must return or evolve, the essay creates an imbalance that hinders honest dialogue. True connection requires everyone to acknowledge their own limitations and shadow sides, not just their hopes and virtues. Let's move beyond idealization. What we need is an honest, nuanced conversation, one that recognizes that both men and women are navigating the uncertainties of intimacy in our time. Both are capable of presence and absence, courage and hesitation.
Sort of a sort of a ma both sides thing a little. I mean, it's true, but it doesn't really hit the heart of it. Because when I make an observation about women's behavior in aggregate, I'm not saying all women, I always get one or two people who are like, but men. I'm like, no. You say that in order to nullify the criticism of women, right? And I'm sorry, it's not going to fly with me. I'm going to criticize women. I'm going to blame them. I'm going to do it until everybody's as comfortable with doing that as they are with criticizing and blaming men. But regardless, this is more than just let's recognize both men and women are navigating and both men and women have troubles. And there's something more that's going on with women. And again, I'll go back to that dynamic of the woman that we just listened to for 2 episodes. She left her husband, who was making a commitment to her, because the commitment made her feel complacent and gave her contempt. And the reason why the commitment made her feel complacent and gave her contempt is because she did not feel like he had authority over her. That's what's happening. She didn't feel like he was a prize. She felt like he was old furniture in her house. That's why she went after Jay, because Jay had the authority of potentially leaving her. So if she does something he doesn't like, Jay leaves. Right? If she is acting out in any way, Jay leaves. So Jay has authority over her. That's what she was attracted to. Fear of missing out and the feeling like Jay had more power in the relationship than she did. That's what she was attracted to. This is monsters from the female id. And she even mentions it a few times that it's intoxicating to be in a situation where she feels like the man has more power. That's probably one of the few true things that she said, true and clear things, right? Well,
Yeah.
this current landscape means that the only way for men to give women that sense of they have authority, the only way to give them that sense that rush of potential loss, which apparently they're mistaking for falling in love or being catching feelings or having a decent investment in, is to not commit. And this is bigger. Like this is men following women, which men do when it comes to relationships. Men follow what women expect because they are the selectors. I mean, in our species, their selective pressure may be lesser because they still need a man to commit in order to have children, whereas in other species, the females don't need males at all to produce offspring, aside from the initial investment, right? So, I mean, the selection is a little bit more two-sided with humans, but there still is more selective pressure put on women, on men, than men on women. Oh, I'm getting a phone call. So this is a problem, and we need to face it honestly. We need to face the monsters from women's id honestly, or we're not going to get anywhere with any of this. All right. That's what I have to say. Go ahead, Brian.
No, I think you basically said it. Yeah, I don't have anything to add to that. It's good. I want to show you something though. You there? Can't hear you. Did you mute?
Many tabs. I had many tabs open. I had to go through them. All right,
okay.
Go ahead.
I want to show you something. So, did you see the trailer? I don't know if we're like wrapping up here.
If you want to take a little bit more time, I'm fine with it.
Okay. Well, I want to show you the trailer to Zootopia 2.
Oh, good Lord.
Did you see it?
No.
So you didn't? Okay.
No.
So there was something interesting about this trailer that I want to show you. Could be a coincidence, but maybe not. We did make a video about the original Zootopia, and it was probably one of our more successful videos.
Yeah, you guys really liked it.
The first movie came out. What?
Mm-hmm. Well, the audience really liked it for whatever reason, probably because it was a popular IP at the time.
So I want to show you this. We're not going to watch the whole thing, but I'm going to show you the trailer for this. So, don't ding us, Disney, for copyright or whatever.
Just keep it under 20 seconds. We'll have to banana this.
Welcome to Partners in Crisis. I'm your therapy animal, Dr. Fuzzbee. Greg, we talked about that. What are we making Merlin? Uncomfortable. Yes. And Francine, Clark may be a mouse, but he is your partner first. And we...
Okay, stop. Okay,
yeah, I know.
So
I did. 18 seconds. 18 seconds.
Yeah.
This isn't really the takeaway. So they're basically in like a, what do you call it? A therapy session with a bunch of other people. So, all right.
have two new partners. Can you tell us about your journey to Dysfunction Junction?
Well, we've been official partners for 1 week. Happy anniversary. And we are functioning fine, better than fine. And we did sort of save the city. So us being here kind of seems like a huge misunderstanding.
I'm just pausing again for the banana.
Yeah, we need to pause for the banana.
Notice how she answered first, did not allow her partner to speak, and taps her foot when she's suppressing discomfort. And observe the source of discomfort, represented by the disconnected affectation of her emotionally insecure partner.
Oh.
But for now...
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So I want you to look over here on the right side of the screen.
Yeah.
You see there?
Oh, a deer and a badger.
What is that? It's a badger.
It's a badger. Yeah.
Not just a badger, it's a honey badger because it has the white the badge on it. But watch.
We begin by greeting our teammate. Okay, unfortunately, Karen has chosen to see Joel's smile as a sign of aggression. Hackles down, Karen.
So the name of the badger is Karen.
Wow, yeah.
I mean,
You know,
what are the
you know,
odds?
you know what's interesting is when we went to Gigi in Vancouver, uh, my husband tends to like not be really front and center in these events, but he just sort of floats around and talks to people. And he said that there were actually people involved in Hollywood, or at least somewhere tangentially. And he said not to be surprised if we saw some references coming out of Hollywood films and stuff in regards to the work that we do. And I thought that was interesting. I don't know, take it for what it was, but it's also interesting they had a deer.
There's a
Don't you
deer,
think?
yes.
And
There's a
a
deer,
badger.
and there's a badger named Karen, and they're
Yes.
partners. So maybe it's just you know, what do you call it?
A coincidence?
Coincidence? Yeah, probably.
Look at the
Maybe
expression
nothing.
on Karen's face. Is that not a Karen expression?
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Okay, let's see.
Anyway,
Can we see just a little bit more? Because this is funny.
more of the trailer. Okay, a little
Yeah.
bit.
Okay, unfortunately, Karen has chosen to see Joel's smile as a sign of aggression. Hackles down, Karen. Karen, hackles down. Someone get the hose.
That is sort of Karen. No offense.
Yeah. I don't
Oh,
want to show
man.
any more. I mean, like that, but you know, I just thought that part was
Oh, deer is dressed in teal. Can we go back and see the deer?
no, he's just wearing a uniform. They're blue. It's like blue.
Are you sure? Okay, let's see.
Yeah, look.
Oh yeah,
It's just blue.
yeah, yeah. But it's Joel
But he
and not
does have
teal.
that. He does have that expression though.
Yeah, he does. I like how mellow Karen is, and then he smiles, and then she's like, it's
Yeah.
on, bitch." Someone get the hose.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. All right. That's cute. Hopefully this will, you know, it'll be fun. I'm
We'll see.
Disney did Zootopia, right?
Yeah. Disney
Yeah.
did do Zootopia. It was not a Pixar thing, it was a Disney thing. But at this point,
Okay,
there's
well,
no difference between them.
all right. Oh right, Xerinx. If Karen goes too long, the inside joke is someone gets the hose. Yeah, I think there was that at one point in the show too. Anyway, it's
Anyway,
really cute. Thank you, Brian.
yeah,
adorable.
just something that came across my desk, and
Mm.
I discovered this coincidence when I watched the trailer. I was like, wait, what are the name of that animal? What animal is that? So I almost wasn't paying attention, but I caught it. But anyway, yeah, I think we're done.
It's the how do you pronounce it? Hermeneutics. Hermeneutics. It's the hermeneutics. We're reading into the Disney trailer deeply into the meaning of the symbolism. Okay. All right. So, thank you guys for joining. Wait, no, that's your. Sorry, I'm encroaching on your
No,
territory.
you can do the things, and then I'll do the things, and then.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, if at any point after the show is over, you can send us a super chow, and we will read it. We will get the super chow. We will cradle it lovingly until the next show, and then we will read it. So feedthebadger.com/justtip for that. Let me just double check to make sure that we don't have anything in the tubes that the voles are reeing at and refusing to move along. Nope. Okay. So feedthebadger.com/justtip for if you want to send us a message, best way to send us any tip you want to send, and the best way for you to send us a comment, because we know where it goes and it does not go through YouTube's comment thresher system. And feedthebadger.support if you want to join and enjoy the after shows and other content. And badgernation.online if you just want to join us in our Discord. All of that's in the low bar, most likely. And I don't have the monthly fundraiser up, so you're gonna have to wait on that one. I'll hand it back to you, Brian.
All right. Well, if you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Hit the bell for notification. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys think about what we discussed in the show today. And if you think that this is actually a reference to us, I don't know what the likelihood of that is, but it's nice to think about. And please share this video, because sharing is caring. Thank you guys so much for coming on today's episode of Maintaining Frame, and we'll talk to you guys in the next one.
Men's right activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.